What's going on, ladies and gentlemen, beautiful fight fans across the world? And in this video, I'm going to be breaking down the top 5 best submissions in MMA, the top 5 most effective submissions in MMA, alright? So, before this video starts, put down in below, what do you think is the top submission in MMA? What do you think is the most effective submission in MMA, man? But let's get straight into the list, man. In the 5th spot, we got the Darce choke, kind of tied with the Anaconda choke, but just edges it out. And they're very similar chokes, man. The Darce choke is when both of your bellies are to the ground, and the Anaconda choke is basically the same thing, but both of your backs are on the ground instead. The Darce choke is a crazy submission. Even though Charles Oliveira didn't land this one right here, he had Arman in a bad spot, man. He had Arman in a bad spot in a lot of these fights, and he sold my parlay. But let's not get into that. Let's just talk about how almost 4% of all MMA submissions are Darce chokes, man. Kind of crazy when you think about it. Even though 4% sounds like a little bit, it's just because the other submissions just have such a huge chunk of the submissions that are hit in MMA. It's crazy how this is in the 5th spot with only 4% of submissions being Darce chokes. Kind of crazy when you think about it. In the 5th spot with about 4%. But let's get into the top 4 submissions in MMA, man. In the 4th spot, we got the arm triangle, man. This is a choke that people with a wrestling background love, a Greco-Roman wrestling, a freestyle wrestling background love, because they just love muscling you to the ground and then getting your arm and your head trapped in that arm triangle and just submitting you, man. Just look at how red Charles Oliveira's head is right here from Islam Makhachev. This submission, you have to, right here is when it's the tightest, when you pass their guard and when you're in the clear, man. Because the second Islam Makhachev passed Charles Oliveira guard, he tapped, man. The second he passed the guard, that's how tight Islam squeezes, man. He has a crazy squeeze. But about 6% of MMA submissions are arm triangles, which is also crazy when you think about it. So that with the Darce choke combined is only 10%. So 1 in 10 submissions is either a Darce or an arm triangle, man. Kind of crazy. And those are both in the top 5. But this was Brock Lesnar's favorite submission, I'm pretty sure, because wrestlers just love this, man. They love getting you to the ground and just muscling you around, man. This is a muscle around, bully around submission, man. This is a horrible submission to get caught in because, you just feel the other dude, his whole weight is on your neck and your arm and your shoulder, bro. It's terrible, bro. His whole body weight is just putting pressure on that. But let's get into the top 3, man. Let me know how you're doing so far. Are you getting these right so far? Did you have something else in mind? But let's get into the top 3, man. These are probably going to be easier to guess. But in the 3rd spot, we have the arm bar, man, with about 12% of MMA submissions being the arm bar. And the arm bar is just a horrible choke to get caught in, man. Because all these other chokes on the list, you just get choked out, you get put out. Even though it's not good for your brain to get shut off from oxygen like that, it's not good for your brain. But bro, arm bars, that could ruin your whole career, man. That could ruin your life. Your arm can never be the same again. If you want to see a nasty arm bar, search up Tony Ferguson versus Charles Oliveira, because bro did not tap. It nasty arm bar, the deepest it can be. Charles Oliveira had Tony's arm under his armpit, man. Disgusting. When you can see all the ligaments and stuff, you can literally see it tearing in somebody's arm when they get in an arm bar. It's disgusting. You can get your shoulder dislocated. You can get your elbow broken. You can get bro, it's one of the nastiest submissions to get caught in. So when you're caught in it, bro, just tap. If you're not John Jones, if you're not have your whole career on the line, bro, just tap, bro. It's not worth it, man. An arm bar is a nasty submission to get caught in, man. It's it could be career ending. It really could be career ending depending on what happens to your arm. But that is at the 3rd spot with about 12 MMA submissions being arm bars. But let's get into the top 2, man. How you guys doing so far? I think these top 2 are going to be pretty easy to guess, though. If you've been doing good so far on this list, the top 2 are going to be easy. But in the 2nd spot, don't be silly, man. Jump the gilly. You heard me? Shine bright like a diamond. Alright, regardless. Even though Dustin Poirier, the king of the gilly, never hit a gilly before, but the king of the guillotine, Dustin Poirier, the guillotine is the 2nd most hit submission in MMA. And it's kind of makes sense because if you're always diving for the legs, man, if you're always trying to take people down, you're going to get caught in a guillotine. And everybody's not like Khabib. Everybody can't escape a guillotine. Everybody's not like Volkanovski. Guillotines are crazy, man. When they get your legs wrapped around you, like, look, Dustin Poirier didn't get this submission right here because he only had one leg wrapped around Khabib. If he had the other leg wrapped around Khabib, he probably could have submitted Khabib, but Khabib's too good, man. He knows that if he gets both of his legs around, it's cooked, so he trapped one of the legs. Guillotines kind of makes sense how this is the second most hit submission in MMA, and not by a lot. This is like 13%, only like 1% more than the arm bar. Yeah, but it's crazy, man. It's crazy how like the first spot is just the first spot is about 40 to 50% of MMA submissions. So like 1 and 2 MMA submissions is the number one spot. So put it down in the comments below. What do you think the number one spot is going to be? I think it's pretty clear. If you're an MMA fan, I think it's pretty obvious what the number one spot is going to be. But in the number one spot, man, we got the rear naked choke, man. Oh my God. Even though Dustin Poirier had Khabib in that guillotine, we all know how that fight ended, man. A rear naked choke. It kind of makes sense how this is the most effective MMA technique, how this is the most effective MMA submission, because when you have somebody's back, man, it's not like BJJ. In BJJ, it's easier to defend a rear naked choke, even though it's still not easy to defend it. But in MMA, you're catching punches to the head. It just opens up space for you to get choked out. And like, bro, when you have somebody's back, when you have their hooks in, what submission is everybody looking for? The rear naked choke. You're like maybe an armbar, but no, you're more likely to go for the rear naked choke because it's literally the easiest submission to sink in when you have somebody's back and when you have your hooks in. It feels natural too. Like when you can just take somebody's back and just submit them like that. It just feels like the most natural choke. Whenever you think of choking somebody out, everybody just thinks of the rear naked choke, man. And the rear naked choke is when you're caught in it, you can't get out. You can't get out. The only way to get out is to pull the guy's arm, but still, at that point, it's probably too late, man. But let me know down in the comments below how you did on this top 5. Did you get some right? Did you get some wrong? Were there submissions on this list that you didn't see coming? Were there submissions that you said in your top 5 that weren't even on this list that you really thought were going to be in the top 5 MMA submissions? Put it down in the comments below, man. But every day, man, I'm dropping videos like this, so turn your notifications on, subscribe, leave a like if you enjoyed this video, man. Thank you for tuning in. I really appreciate it. But that's it for this MMA top 5 submissions, man. Top 5 most effective submissions in MMA. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next one, man.